This talk was presented at the 6th Biennial Conference of the Regional Association for East Asia of the International Musicological Society. The conference held place at Jeonbuk National University in Jeonju City, Republic of Korea, from 21st to 23rd of October 2022. In this talk, I discussed the differences between music terms of two countries, the Republic of Korea and Russia. The development of music science is a process that accompanies the emergence of various terms employed in the field. The researchers define terms as a nominative lexical units of the vocational language used for naming the exact concept. The terms must have contextual unambiguity, content capacity, and brevity of expression. All those specifics are necessary as terms represent and transfer specialized knowledge. Terminology as a system implies a logical arrangement of all terms. It's multi-stage work, and separating terms into groups is the most complex task. As a final goal, it implies progress toward interlingual terminological harmonization, that is terminological equivalence. And terminological equivalence is crucial when you work on a dual or multilingual terminology guide in the field of music. It's because the terminology of music is less structured than the technical field terminology, for example, engineering. It's well known that languages are not all structured in the same way to reflect the real world. In the field of music science, Robert Gerdingen paid attention to this phenomenon. He argued there is such a thing as German harmony as opposed to English harmony. The phenomena in question, chord, keys, progressions, modulations, are presumably perceived much the same in Bonn as in Boston. But the word used to describe those perceptions derived from different traditions. The traditions influenced not only by many music theorists, but also by famous pedagogues whose textbooks have consolidated divergent national terms. During my study in Korea, I noticed multiple and multi-level differences between Korean terms and Russian terms in classes such as theory of music, harmony, polyphony, and music analysis. So I started collecting terms in Korean and in Russian because of my background. This work lasted for several years, and it was very interesting for me. The differences between the countries are apparent even on a basic level. For instance, is the 4/4 meter compound or simple? Applying the same terms such as movable do could differ in practice between countries. In Russian textbook on music theory or harmony, to find such terms as French, German, or Italian augmented sixth chord is challenging. It is an issue to see the mention of three types of major in textbook for solfeggio or theory in Korea. Regardless of who is right or wrong, it's a norm that certain concepts work in one country but not in another. This peculiarity needs to be taken into account when you work on bilingual terminology guide. In Russia, solfeggio drill uses Guido d'Arezzo syllable names for musical notes. When solmizated in a key, you call the notes as they appear in the key, but with corresponding sharps or flat, dièse or bemol in Russian. So it's close to the fixed do method, and the names of the pitches are associated with Guido d'Arezzo syllable names, although the word syllable is omitted. Moreover, when one works on various scales or intervals in one key, you can see the table with step numbers written with Roman numerals. Those numbers are also recognized as syllable names or musical notes as well. A lecturer uses this table to train student ear, and if you see D dur, D major for students, it will be re, mi, fa, dièse, F sharp, sol, la, si, do dièse, do sharp, re. Korea has another standard, historically the movable do method, so we do not call the accidentals when solmizated, and later names have been commonly used to identify pitches, I mean the oral practice. As a result of solfeggio practice, a Russian term название звуков, name of musical notes, semantically coincides with Korean term imirim or immyon. The twin term is another issue, but in fact relates to the term letter names keirim, kemyon, that in Russian could be easily recognized as names of steps in a key. This is because the key means a stair or a step, and myon or irim means name. So when you work on bilingual terminology, it could be the issue that two countries fill out the same term with a different meaning. Korea has unique names for the music pitches built on the Korean Hangul alphabet plus R vowels. Its uniqueness because it's well fit for both syllable name and letter names of musical pitch, in my opinion. You can see do, da, re, ra, mi, ma, fa, pa, because Korean language doesn't have F sound, sol, sa, and we start from la, ka, and finish by sol, sa. And I think Korean unique names of musical pitches have a right to be reflected in the bilingual terminology guide. In addition to the semantic disparity between the two countries' terms, some have a conceptual difference. The 4-bit musical meter could be an example. Korean music theorists refer to 4/4 meter as simple meter, dansun bakja or hot bakja, in contrast with the Russians who refer to it as a compound meter. The discrepancy is developed under influence of the view on the inner division of meter. Korea thinks 4/4 meter is simple as pulse can be divided into 2 inner beats, in contrast with 3 inner beats in compound meter. Russia thinks if the music meter can be divided into 2 identical simple meters, no matter whether duple or triple, it's a compound meter. According to Russian music theory, 4/4 meter is a sum of the two 2/4 meters. This makes 4/4 meter compound, as same as a division into two 3/8 meters makes 6/8 meters compound. When it comes to terminology regarding scales, The Russian music theory and solfeggio drill books include the chapters like harmonic major, hwasunjanimke, and melodic major, karakjanimke or sunyuljanimke in Korean. The introduction and mastery on harmonic major and melodic major through oral, audio, and written drilling begins from the sixth grade of the first step of music education, which is music school in Russia. On the college step, we began practicing the specific intervals of harmonic major and harmonic minor to add them to already learned tritons. According to Korean music theorists, it's not allowed to divide major into three types in contrast to minor, as those types are artificial or not much in use. Whether they're artificial or not, the terms such as harmonic major and melodic major, as well as specific intervals of harmonic types of major and minor, are widely practiced in Russia, but not in use in Korea. But what about international students who start learning in one country and continue their study in another? The terminology guide could help them to learn and adopt the brand new terminology faster. It's also an issue for researchers and even for the simple lecturers. The study of terms pertaining to the music forms started with a graduate review of tonal theory by Stephen Leitz and Christopher Bartlett, where the author presented 8 types of the classical period. I borrowed their classification as a model. The study of original Korean textbooks concerning musical form analysis showed a high correlation between English and Korean terminology. Parallel interrupted period relates to the Korean terms Yusa Jundanakjul or Pyeonghan Jundanakjul, and parallel continuous period relates to Yusa Yeonsogakjul or Pyeonghan Yeonsogakjul. The same can say regarding bilingual couple contrasting continuous period and Daejo Yeonsogakjul or Chadin Yeonsogakjul. In the case of Russia, one can also find the information about all the types shown here. However, I would say it's merely descriptive and has not taken shape as a term or terminology or terminological phrase. In this case, a simple translation makes no sense. Only double period and the period as a sentence can be recognized as terms. I believe making terms that would reflect comprehensively, precisely, and capacitively all the information concerning various period types is the work for the future. In conclusion, I would like to pay attention to the viewpoint of Teresa Cabrera. She is a Spanish professor specializing in terminology and linguistics. She points out on a paradoxical phenomenon in terms of the status of languages. On the one hand, she says there is a trend toward monolingualism across cultures, which is justified by the need for direct and efficient communication. One can observe it in Korea. Korean terms are normally accompanied by American English equivalent, or American terms is just transliterated by Hangul. On the other hand, national languages are being recognized as a natural tools of communication at all levels of usage, whether general or specialized. If one talked about music textbook in Russia, it's unusual to find a case where a Russian term is accompanied by English equivalent. From those perspectives, Russian and Korean music terminology systems has different degree of formation, standardization, and internalization. Historical fact determines those. Certain terms fail to meet the requirements for an ambiguity. Some concepts are named by twin terms. It may lead to misunderstanding between representatives of different educational platforms. There is a need to standardize national terminology and to work on terminological harmonization between countries, between languages. It's not the end in itself. It's necessary to optimize communication among researchers, lectors, translators, international students, and all who use those terms to exchange music knowledge. The process must respect the cultural and formal idiosyncrasies of each language and give rise to development on the national ground, and at the same time allow a national terminology system to become a part of the global world. Thank you.